On this episode, we discuss Better Man.
I guess we can find a better man.
It's pretty good. Everyone, welcome to the Flophouse. I'm Dan McCoy.
Hey, Dan McCoy. And listeners, I'm Stuart Wellington.
Hey, Stuart Wellington and Dan McCoy. My name, which is on my driver's license, is Elliot Kalin. And joining us today is...
Hallie Haglund.
Woo! Star of the show.
Oh, she's got her theme with her.
I didn't realize Hallie has like a ragtime sting that she now uses.
Yeah, that was
so
good.
you hired Scott Joplin to write that for you for your appearances on podcasts?
Yeah.
Everyone's stepping up. I appreciate that Hallie had a theme. I appreciate that Stuart specified that he was talking to the listeners
Yeah,
when
just
he
Dan,
addressed them. Yeah, it's good stuff. This is a podcast where we watch a bad movie and then we talk about it. Now, hold on. You might be saying the straw man that Stuart claims I'm always talking to.
I'm listening. Yeah. So Dan, tell us. Wait, before you get in, tell us about this straw man you're always worried about, who always takes issue with everything you say.
It's like he's in the audience of the podcast and he's saying, "Dan, you suck. I want to kill you.
I'm going to kill you.
I'm a scarecrow. I'm going to
get
come
you
into your home at night."
It would be if it's kind of like an evil Dan, is what you're saying.
And then, but it looks just like a younger version of Dan, and then Dan has to jump off the podcast stage and do like a battle.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Do a battle with all the other versions of Dan that are wearing the clothes we've seen Dan wearing throughout the movie.
The one of me that's just Viscera from the rock DJ.
That was an Easter egg for the true fans. Yeah.
We're referring, of course, to the movie we watched, Better Man, which has a lot of Easter eggs for little Robbie Williams moments. So for someone like me who is not super versed on the career of Robbie Williams, there were times I was like, I guess that's the thing he wore once. I guess that's the thing he said once.
Elliot's an outlier for all Americans, though. Americans love Robbie Williams.
They love Robbie Williams. Yeah.
Before we get into that, though, let's wrap up the thing that I needlessly introduced, which is to say that this got a lot of pretty good reviews. This is not our usual. Usually we, tend towards the critical flop rather than commercial flop. This was a commercial flop, though, while being largely a critical success.
Someone and so that's why we made like $700 in the U.S. Is that true?
I think it made a little more than that, but not much more. Yeah, much more.
And that includes popcorn sales.
Well, that's like I listened.
So one popcorn.
Oh, thanks, Trump.
I was listening to a podcast recently about the making of Donnie Darko, a movie that I saw in the theaters, and they talked about what a tiny amount of money it made in the theaters, and it made me feel really special that I was part of this elite, I guess smaller than I realized, exclusive crew of people that saw it in the theaters. So anyone out there who saw Better Man in the theaters, you are part of like a real kind of exclusive club of people who can say, yeah, I went to the theater and I paid money to sit in a public place, a private business that functions as a public place, to watch a chimp be Robbie Williams and live out the life of Robbie Williams. Because not a lot of people can say that, it turns out.
And it's interesting, this movie... Williams.
Oh, wait, we should make it clear to Americans. This is not a movie about Robin Williams, the much more famous celebrity in America and I think the rest of the world who has a similar name. This is about Robbie Williams, who's short for Robert Williams, I think, who is a singer and dancer, a showman, as opposed to Robin Williams, who is more of a force of nature,
Also a showman.
One of the greatest. That's an Easter egg for this director. No, he's huge in the UK, Robbie Williams,
and Europe,
but the funny thing is, this was not even that successful.
No, even in the UK. So I thought I was going to see. I looked at it and I was like, oh, this was probably a huge smash hit in the UK, and it just didn't translate. Oh no, they didn't like it over there either, or they didn't go to see it.
Yeah.
He took a big swing. You know what? He did it his way.
He did do it his way.
He did, yeah.
As
Classic,
he sings. Yeah.
A song that was popularized by singer Robbie Williams and no one else.
Have you guys heard that song? That's Robbie Williams.
He's not even, it's not as if it's not even the first time it's been sung by a figure in a musical biopic. It's, I'm referring, of course, to Sid Vicious and Sid and Nancy, who also sings My Way.
My preferred version. My wife's preferred.
Well, because it's the only one that cuts through the fucking treacle. Like, let's be honest. one of the worst Sinatra songs. Like,
I'll have to ask Charlotte. My wife's a huge Sinatra fan. She even saw him in Las Vegas at the Desert Inn, which is a story that I will not share. It's her story, but she was very young, and yeah, exactly. She did it her way.
I think it can't help being when he gets going, it can't help it being like a little rousing. But the message of that song is just so dumb to me. It's like we all do it our own fucking way, and it also sounds like shitty. Like no, I didn't take advice from anybody. Yeah. I'm right.
It's a song that it's a song that on base level is a jerk. Justifying himself, but it works when it is an older jerk like Sinatra who has been through things and made mistakes. The point of that song is, I made a lot of mistakes, but look, this is the only way I knew how to do it. I had to do it my way, and it screwed me up. That works when it is an older man singing it who can look back on things, but I feel like Robbie Williams, for all the mistakes he's clearly made, as seen in the movie, it still seems weird for someone who is not in their 60s to be singing My Way. And also,
he's
in America,
he's early 50s, right?
Early 50s now.
Yeah.
But by the time in the movie, he must be his parents are still alive and not looking that old. So he must be in his
not both of his parents.
30s. What? Oh, one of them looks old by the end. One of them is
a whole song about it, Elliot.
No, that's his grandma who dies.
Yeah,
oh, really?
Yeah. No, that's
Wow.
Whoa,
oh, man.
Did you watch this movie?
I don't think he did.
Well, Dan thinks that Gran is what English people call mom, which is not true, Dan.
They didn't call her Gran.
No, they didn't. That's true. They didn't really call her Gran, no. But
Thank you, Hallie.
But I will.
Hallie's the only one who did her homework.
It is an interesting move that the dad, as he gets older, he becomes more and more caked with old age makeup, and the mom just they don't really do much.
Actually, that's just Steve Pemberton's real face.
Oh, they de-aged him for the earlier one.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot more sense looking back on the movie. But the thing is,
this is a real in-time situation where, for people who don't remember that old episode, we didn't realize that one character was supposed to be another character's mother.
The dad is made up, even when he's young, looks so old that it made more sense to me that those two were together, I guess.
Oh, man. Like the father in this movie, we'll actually start the movie in a second. But
we're going to watch it?
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to watch it together.
I'll hit play on the VHS tape. The father's played by Steve Pemberton, longtime member of the League of Gentlemen, longtime English comedy guy. And I'm so used to seeing him wearing like crazy wigs and looking like with tons of weird makeup on. So I feel like this all tracks. And yeah, I love him in everything he's in, and he plays such like a piece of shit, and he's so good at doing it in every performance.
He's playing the classic. I feel like we have this in America too, but I feel like it's very classic in England, which is the bad dad who's kind of like a music hall type performer, super low level, super never going to be famous.
Yeah, a real Rolling Stone.
Yeah, and he's just. I feel like I've seen so many British movies, especially about this kind of guy. But maybe they're the Hitmen of England. There's probably like 7 of them, but they make so many movies that it seems like this is the number 2 job in England after like, I don't know, working in a factory and getting your hands cut off or something like that. The what?
Chimney sweep.
Yeah, because if you're in England, you're either a chimney sweep, you are a low-level entertainer who abandons your family for a long time, or you are the king. Those are basically the jobs.
Pickpocketing urchin.
The guy with the big hat?
But like, I feel like...
Oh, right, the guard, yeah.
I feel like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins crosses off like 4 of those boxes.
Also,
that's true.
You know he's got like at least one family somewhere that he's not paying attention to.
Oh, yeah.
As I said online too, if you're a performer in the UK, you either end up on a comedy panel show or you get to be a detective. Those are your 2 paths.
Yeah, that's what you get to be.
Stick around long enough. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into Better Man. Now, let's jump in here right up top.
Let's jump in the way Robbie Williams was, because he does a lot of jumping in this movie, a lot of jump-based dancing.
Because he's a monkey.
So
he's not a monkey, Dan. He's a chimpanzee.
As we've mentioned a bunch of times, this movie makes the interesting choice to replace its human performer with what Dan informed me was a digital chimp character, a chimpanzee. They
didn't really train a chimpanzee to walk on its hind legs exclusively and sing Robbie Williams songs and do a Robbie Williams impression. Yeah,
I think they can do it, dude. They can use tools.
They grow to man size, yeah.
So it's an interesting choice, and one that didn't financially pay off. Yeah, it's a brave choice.
I think it's one of those things where it's a double-edged sword because it is the one thing that made us interested in talking about this. I can see how it would bring
certainly made me interested.
Yeah, that's the thing that might bring in the curious. But for the Robbie Williams fan, I think it's probably off-putting to not recognize the person that the movie is about. And as we've seen from Bohemian Rhapsody, people love it. People love a performer who is made up to be an exaggerated, almost physical caricature of the person they're performing, but they do not like a different species. And there's only one scene where you see the chimp in bed with women, and just for that moment, it is weirdly off-putting. But I had the same feeling watching this that I've had with other things, where I'm like, I had to keep reminding myself, oh yeah, in real life, this scene is happening with a person and not a chimp doing it. And so the movie is much more interesting if it's about a performing chimp than about a performing person.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I find it slightly off-putting to see a chimpanzee snorting like mountains of cocaine.
Yes.
Well, I mean, then it's going to rip someone's face off is my worry.
The only place you should see that is a roadside carnival in Florida, and you should only see it because you're walking past that room to the bathroom and you accidentally catch a glimpse of it. Yeah.
Okay, well, the movie begins in a little town called Stoke-on-Trent, a small town in the north of England. We are introduced to Robert, who is a young chimpanzee boy who claims that he can play goalie in a pickup soccer game. He does terribly.
Football, they call
it. But this shows his inability to understand his own limitations.
But he's cheeky.
He's assigned to being goalie. This is the thing that I thought was weird. They're all like, "You're shit, Robbie. Be goalie. One of the most important things here." Like,
thank you. As a former goalie, I appreciate.
If you're playing like soccer, certainly as kids play it, just put him in the middle of like one of the people who runs around. Like they're not staying tight to their like roles. Like just let him get lost.
What's the name of that position, Dan? You're a big footballer.
There's like a wing and another wing and a forward.
Usually there's at least one wing. If you only have one, you're not going to get far.
You know what I'm talking about. Like I found this right
Perhaps
off the bat.
Perhaps it could be a striker.
You're not going to fly.
Yeah, it's like in like that famous Stevie Nicks song "Edge of 17," just like a one-winged dove.
Sings a song, sounds like she's singing.
Yep.
Where's my wing? Thank you.
Is that a joke or are those the words?
No.
It's a white wing.
It's a white wing dove, not a one wing.
I was like, I always thought it was white wing.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's not afraid of changes because she's built her life around goo all this time. I thought that was the lyric.
Yeah.
Okay.
She works at Nickelodeon.
So children get balder? Is that the line?
So young Robert, he doesn't do particularly well in soccer. People kind of razz him a little bit. We don't really see much more of this relationship with the other kids in the neighborhood, but it shows that he has a desire to be someone, and he lives at home with his mother.
And his bluster. It shows his bluster.
Yeah, his bluster and his cheek. This is what's going to get him through life and eventually be his downfall.
Cheeky bastard.
He never knows when to stop.
Monkey.
He's not a monkey, Dan.
Monkey,
He's not.
Cheeky
He's a
monkey.
chimpanzee, Dan. A chimpanzee and a monkey are two different things.
Are we sure he is though?
Yeah, he's not like a capuchin.
No,
he's not like Dr. Watson.
I mean, we never.
Oh, he doesn't have a tail. You're right.
He doesn't have a tail. This is the difference between a monkey and other apes, or I guess apes and monkeys are different. Monkeys have tails. Chimpanzees do not have tails. Gorillas don't have tails. Orangutans don't. And we do see his butt during the surprisingly ass-bearing girl boy band world of the Britain in the 1990s, I guess. Where I was always like, throughout that sequence, I was like, this is a lot more skin than I'm used to American boy bands showing. But we do see that he does not have a tail. So Dan, I'm going to keep correcting you. This is the kind of straw man you should worry about, a zoological straw man who does not like it when people confuse monkeys and chimpanzees. Stuart, continue. Don't let Dan stop you. Just let me stop you.
Whoa.
So his home life, he lives at home with his grandmother, who's very nurturing, or his nan.
Or mother, as Dan says.
Thank you. Yep. His mom, who is a hardworking lady who is trying to pay the bills, and then he has
or as Dan thinks, a roommate who I guess is just renting rooms from the
She is such a non-entity in this movie.
Nan. It's Nan.
She's such a Nan entity.
No, the mom, I'm saying. She was a mom entity in this movie.
Mom entity, oh yeah.
That I feel foolish, but at the same time, they really do not put any importance on the mom compared to the Nan and the dad.
Yeah.
She does cry at the end, and he says some nice things.
Yeah, she's there. That's what moms do. We're just there.
Up.
Yep.
We're there, and nobody gives us the credit, but we're always there.
Yeah, Hallie, how would you feel if one of your sons, I won't mention their names for their privacy on this podcast, if one of them eventually made a movie where they were a chimp
Robbie Williams.
If your son Robbie Williams achieved stardom as a chimp and you were barely in the movie, how would you feel about that?
I'd be pissed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, would you disown him?
I also think this episode comes out right before Mother's Day, right?
This is the episode that comes out, I think, the day before Mother's Day.
Yeah. Okay.
So everybody tomorrow, take care of your moms. Put them in your movie. Make sure to show they're important parts of your chimp performing career.
Get them a gift.
Happy
Get them
Mother's
a nice
Day.
workout set.
So let me,
Mom, I know that you listen. I find that confusing and distressing, but I love you.
Okay.
Now, Dan, are you sure that's your mom and not your grandma you're talking to? Because I know you have trouble telling them apart.
It's like the end of The Usual Suspects.
Just check the time stamp on where we're at in the movie. 2 seconds in.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, wow. Okay. Cool. Okay. Buckle up, guys.
Has
everybody peed?
It's
Do we
the
need to
most
pee before
basic-
this trip?
It's the most basic plot. We don't need to get it's.
This
Just
is the
trying
most-
to establish some fucking foundations here. So, and his dad is this, like, as we said, he's a small level performer. He's very selfish. He's not around very much. He runs away at the first opportunity. He's a bad dad, singer dad.
Yeah.
He's obsessed with the legends, as he calls them. This is your Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and of course Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
At the first opportunity, he runs away. He does not show up for Robbie when Robbie is part of a school production of Pirates of Penzance.
Which I have to say, that is an intense production for kids to have to pull off. Gilbert and Sullivan is hard even for professional adult performers that rapid fire, very complicated
who's
dialogue.
singing Modern Major General in that?
Yeah, for kids. I mean, Robbie's playing a pirate. I guess he's not. But for kids to pull off Gilbert and Sullivan is harsh. This must be one of the toughest the toughest schools in all of England.
This is like the Fame School, but in England.
Yeah.
It's like, but that's the thing. That's
they call
why,
it the Fame School.
I mean, England puts way more effort into teaching kids the arts than the U.S., so maybe that's the difference.
And that's why they get Robbie Williams and we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we have no boy bands in this country.
Not a single one.
We're losing ground to Korea so fast every single day in the boy band market.
True.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good time as any to say sorry for not winning any Tony nominations. Current performance of Pirates of Penzance now on Broadway, right? David Hyde Pierce, yeah. Didn't
even know that was happening.
A potential snub is what New York One told me. Okay,
I mean we know by now. Well, I mean was he nominated?
It was not nominated.
This is what Stuart's
people
saying,
thought
man.
it was going to get nominations.
Well, he said potential snub, and I'm like,
I mean,
we know
potential
it's a
based.
snub now.
But I haven't seen any of the productions, so I can't
So you
be
can't
like,
tell
it's a
whether
it
real
was worth
snub.
Maybe I feel like potential snub just means whether it was deliberate or not, or whether it was like, they just didn't deserve it. You know.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
when Better Man was snubbed by audiences.
So his father runs away, leaving young Robert, to sing a Robbie Williams song to kind of commemorate this loss. And he still clutches onto various trinkets and artifacts that his father left behind because he still loves his dad, despite him being a bad dad, singer dad.
In some
Robbie.
ways, the more distant your dad is, the easier it is to love them because there's that yearning. You know, it becomes a very strong thing. Whereas if your dad's kind of always around and wants to help you, it's easier for a kid to say, no thanks. I'll just sit in my room and not interact with you.
It all seems very personal.
No,
Yeah, it does
all
seem
hypothetical,
personal.
not
Yeah.
at all true. But,
Interesting.
sometimes the dad reaches out and is like, hey, let's play catch. And they're like, I'm good. And you're like, but this is the kind of thing I always wanted my dad to do with me. All right. And then they go, hey, Mom, want to play catch? And you're like, what?
Yep, and then you put on Cats in the Cradle, and they turn it off. They're like, I don't want to hear that shit.
My kids are like, Dad, I was really hoping for more of a Cats in the Cradle relationship with you.
Okay, so teenage Robbie now has ambitions to be a singer and performer, and kind of like a cabaret stuff. Like that's his foundation.
He wants to be like the Rat Pack, yeah.
And so
Not to be confused with the Brat Pack. He does not want to be like that.
he does. He expressly says that at the time.
It's like most of them didn't go,
But
live
some
up to
of
their
them
potential.
hit some quite highs.
Yeah.
The Grinder,
High
what a
highs, low
show!
lows.
Yeah. That was the Kurosawa film. So,
Yeah, the Kurosawa
Bratz.
film about the Brat Pack, yeah.
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 so young Robert hears an ad on the radio for a upcoming boy band audition that is being put together by the actor who played Dewey Crow from Justified, which he plays it as creepy as possible.
I will say that this movie, for me, like really loses something as soon as that sleazy producer leaves the movie.
Producer leaves the movie. Yeah, I agree. Especially because they really seem to make a meal out of his facial hair and regular hair.
They make a big point of talking about like hinting out what a jerk he is.
Yes.
And then it never. I mean, he's not nice to them, but I feel like in the annals of boy band managerdom, there's so much worse.
Well, I mean, they make a joke of it, but like literally the first thing is like, for legal reasons, he was a real sweetheart, and like I wonder if that's sort of genuine. Like there's a limit to how far he wanted to go.
But then they undercut that because they say it goes and a right C word. And it's like if you're going to do that bit,
means
do
something different in England. Alex.
Yeah, in England it's a nice thing. It's a term of endearment. Yeah, that's what the movie Terms of Endearment is about. Is about the C word.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is the word. Speaking of me and my children, where my older son he's out of that phase now, but for a while, like a year or two ago, he was very enamored of showing off what bad words he knew, and he'd be like, "I know the F word, I know the S word." He goes, "I know the worst word," which of course is a different kind of word. But and I've like, you don't know the second worst word, and he'd be like, "Just tell me what letter it starts with," and I'm like, "It's a word you're not even going to hear. Don't worry about it." He's like, "I just want the letter. Just give me the letter."
Mr. Policeman, I gave you all the
clues. If you even speak it, it'll destroy your mouth.
Yeah. It's a Lovecraftian word.
It's exactly. Enuncia. I think it's important to say that this is this is a musician biopic, my least favorite genre of movies, but it's a musician biopic.
So you'd rather see a real life snuff film?
Yeah. I considered that a genre.
Although it's funny, Stuart, you're the one who really sold this movie.
I was, sometimes.
I mean, literally, Stuart was the marketing exec who was on the movie, so you did a great job, Stu.
Weirdly enough, I got promoted.
That's why he's a podcaster now.
Failing upward, that's the Stuart Wellington
story. They said,
story.
Stu, you took one for the team, you got pinched, and you didn't talk. We're going to kick you upstairs. Yeah.
I think it suffers from the fact that many of the people that are featured in this movie are still alive, so they are a little bit careful to not be too honest about things. And we occasionally get voiceovers from real life Robbie Williams himself, not a chimp. Which he'll give you little insights into the moments of the story, not as good as say 24-Hour Party People, which is much better.
That's a great movie. Like that's a genuinely great movie.
Just a great movie.
I think and this movie suffers a little bit from, and we can talk about this more later, I guess, but like from coming relatively soon after a bunch of other music biopics. Like I'm trying to remember what other ones there were besides in the last few years, besides like Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody. But like it is telling a very similar story.
Complete Unknown.
Complete Unknown. Although I guess although this came out before Complete Unknown, right? Or no?
I mean, within a few months, right? But
and they're the same kind of performer pretty much. So it's like if you're going to see one, you're not going to see the other.
Yeah.
I do think I texted Dan this already, but I do think this is like the better version of Maestro.
See, I never saw Maestro.
Take, but I didn't really dig into it on text because I wanted you to explain more.
It's got
here.
How many chimps are in Maestro?
Well, I feel like
the
chimp is akin to the prosthetic nose.
Yeah.
Then they have these fantastical scenes. At least in my memory. Don't they have like dance scenes in Maestro?
I didn't see Maestro. I don't know. I thought it was about
Dan,
mice.
did you see Maestro?
I did see Maestro. I don't remember like fantastical, but I remember it being like extremely stylized.
Yeah, I think this. Yeah, but the dance scenes in this, I never am that into like dance in movies. But I thought the dancing was so fun.
The dance scenes in this movie are very good.
I mean, there's one scene in particular, the rock DJ.
We're
scene.
not even there yet.
We're not
there
yet.
But I just want to. I mean, we've brought it up. I'm just saying, like that's like a 5-star scene in a otherwise, not 5-star movie.
Like 2.5-star movie, maybe
I
3-star
also thought
movie.
the dancing that when he did the dancing with Nicole
on the yacht.
That was
great.
excellent.
Yep. So let's put the pedal to the metal and get there fast. So he aces his audition. He doesn't sing particularly well, but he has just a kind of, I think the kids call it riz.
Yeah.
A little bit of cheek, a little charm. He specifically talks about his success being tied in with a specific wink he does.
Yes, he looks like he's failed the audition, and then he turns around and goes, "Should I tell the other guys just to give up because you've already found me?" And then winks, and he's like, "If I hadn't winked, I never would have been here today," whatever.
And then when he leaves, the guy's like, cheeky bastard.
Yeah.
That's
That's exactly what we need for our boy
monkey,
band. We need
I don't
someone who's a
like
real
him.
cheekster.
But I respect it.
I mean, every boy band needs a bad boy. Like in the boy band of the Flophouse, I'm the bad boy. Dan's the cute one.
I'll take it. I don't know.
I guess that leaves me as
Elliot's the smart one.
I guess I'm the artistic genius that leaves and creates even bigger things. Okay,
Well,
I'll take
you're not
it.
the quiet one.
That's
so-
for sure.
I am bound for reality television. Okay, so
And
he
Hallie,
made-
Hallie is the guest one.
I'm the girl.
Oh, so
She comes in and
that's
and does like a hot solo or chorus that we really need to bump that.
That's
song.
right.
Yeah,
she,
that's
she
right.
contributes the hook.
yeah.
Yeah, so he is invited to join. He joins Take That, a hot new boy band that starts out by playing shows in the gay club scene in England before graduating to more, I guess, cishet normative venues.
I mean,
Yeah,
to specifically teenage girl directed venues, but that's something that. So this was the one insight of the insights about like when you get everything you want, it leaves you empty inside. You know, people are important. That insight did not. I've heard that before, but something that I had never like thought about. Every other
Spider-Man
movie.
comics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The movie Family Man with Nicolas Cage.
Episode of Family Guy.
Yeah, the
Quagmire says it, and they says giggity.
the he sure does. He
That
sure
guy says giggity a lot. Oh, boy.
No wonder that show has ran for 29 years or whatever.
One
it
of
is.
the top people who says giggity.
Yeah, name
Top three. Top three.
name someone who does giggity. Yeah,
Undeniable.
name someone who's better at giggity than him. But the insight that you can create a teen girl oriented boy band by first testing them out in the gay club scene was one where I was like,
Yeah.
you know what, that made a connection for me that I had not made internally before, and I liked that. That was the kind of thing where I'm like, okay, that's a different point than I'm seeing. That makes sense to me, but I haven't heard it before. But first, before they did that, I was like, he's like, first we started on the gay club scene. I'm like, is there enough money in the underground gay club scene for a boy band to be like to build a whole career off of that? And then it was like, oh, that was just your testing lab for the teen girls thing. That makes sense. But yeah.
And so they are very successful, but Robbie individually isn't particularly successful. A lot of the money goes to their manager or to their like frontman Gary Barlow.
Because Gary writes the songs, so he gets the royalties on the songs, whereas they do not. They just get their, I guess, session and performance fees. You know,
Robbie develops a pretty severe cocaine and drinking problem by the age of 21.
Even though he has no money, he's somehow swimming in cocaine. But you know,
I don't think that. I think that tracks because the manager just keeps giving them those things for free.
oh, is that it? All right,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, because you got to get them amped up to go perform.
I also assume, look, I've never been in a boy band. But
podcasting's pretty similar.
Yeah.
I figure.
I know. Hallie's shocked. I think she just did a Bazooka Joe lip take when Dan said
Hey, come on.
she's doing the mental math.
Hey, come on, you
Don't
could have
sell
been in a boy
yourself
band.
short. You have been.
You've got time. You've got time, Dan.
You have been. Remember? Yeah. No, but I presume.
Remember when you were in Three for All, the three boy band. You were
It
the
was
one
weird.
you're the one who'd run out on stage and go, "It's a total 3 for all," and then the other two guys would come out and join you.
Yeah, it was weird though because I was 30 and the other two guys were 18.
Well, it's important because 30, there's a 3 in there, so it works.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
You have to be an age that's divisible by 3, which is really tricky because you can only perform every 3 years.
Oh yeah, that year when you were 31 and they were 19 and you could not perform legally. That was harsh. That was hard.
It's a terrible business model.
Prepared to a castle in England, and you worked on your next in 2 years.
The point was originally, I assumed that also this is a job where people give you a lot of drugs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah. As Stuart's saying. Now this what struck me here when he's like,
Well, you don't get it your way. That's a reference to the song. I did it.
That's good stuff.
you know what? I was
Now
gonna
I'm
say.
imagining like a Burger King for drugs. Like, I want to have it my way. Don't. Please, no sauce on top of my cocaine.
Yeah. Or an Outback commercial, like no rules, just right. And no rules, please.
Yeah, and you deserve a break today, and that break, I guess, is drugs. When you're in a boy band, that's the
A lot of
McDonald's one.
drugs.
And
I mean, that's when I take my drugs, is when I'm on a break. Not when I'm at
I'm
work.
loving it. Drugs.
Loving it. ... Drugs. Oh man, slap that on a t-shirt.
Yeah,
folks.
that Ronald McDopefiend says that.
Do you guys know that like BK Have It Your Way is my son's favorite song?
Oh,
And
my
whenever
boys
we're
love that
watching
too.
TV,
Yeah.
like if that commercial comes on, he like stops whatever he's doing and like just like double takes to the TV. It's amazing.
How does your son feel about, because my sons love that song, but the thing they love even more are insurance company slogans. So they'll just walk around going, liberty, 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 liberty.
Like, can we get like a single for that?
I don't know.
It means when I sing the Ring Pop song to them from those old commercials, it's like a Gilbert and Sullivan Pirates of Penzance thing, because the lyrics are so much more complicated than just liberty, liberty, liberty. But
yeah,
that
you're
BK
like, you
song, they
won't
love
get it yet.
Yeah.
You'll get it when you're a little bit older.
Yeah.
Just don't play the Cars for Kids song for them, or it'll drive them
Oh
insane.
boy, yeah, that's what they're going to want my ringtone to be.
They'll just
so they
be
can hear
rocking
it.
back and forth singing.
Well, they'll want
nonsense.
cars. They'll be like, the song says we can have them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are just giving them to kids.
Do they do the Cars for Kids song in LA? Is that a
Oh,
thing?
it's nationwide. It's nationwide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nationwide.
Yeah,
It's
it's
on your
worldwide.
side.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, our brains. So
Get a
Robbie
Herald.
is unsatisfied being in the group, so it leads him to greater acts of
He gets kicked out of the
rebellion.
group. Oh,
He gets kicked out of the group. He wishes that he could take a bigger part in it. He claims that he has all these lyrics, which, having heard a lot of Robbie Williams songs after the end of this movie, I don't think that's true.
Wow.
But
Wow.
I can be a hater. That's fine.
That's true. You can be a hater.
I mean, you're allowed.
I'm
legally.
allowed. Yeah, legally. Yeah, no. But
What if
take
you
me
were
to hater jail.
What if you were Bill Hader? You'd have
You'd be
have
doing
Barry
great.
on your resume. You'd be
You
people
would have
love
made
to work.
Barry.
Yeah.
I would probably have a pretty good Robbie Williams impression in my back pocket.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. That would be wonderful. Can we get him? Is he available for this episode?
Let's see. No. He gets kicked out of the group. That leads him to drinking
He
more.
takes a watermelon with him, like he's the jerk. He's
Yep.
like, all I need is this watermelon.
That was an
He-
interesting choice, and I was not sure what he was going to do with that watermelon, and the answer was nothing.
Yeah,
No.
he saved it for like 30 years
For 30
until
years,
he brought it back.
he says, "I'm sorry" message that he carved into it. But there's a scene where he really screws up partly when they're about to go on stage for a concert. They're on like an elevated platform, and he's passed out on the platform. But then the show starts, and I was like, "Well, so when did he get in his costume? Like, how did he just pass out a minute ago?"
Yeah.
Guys, I'm sorry. Let's actually, and I know, Stuart, you'll hate this, but let's skip backwards because we've gone past the point that you were like, we're not there yet.
Oh yeah.
Which
that's
is
Dan's favorite scene.
There is a fantastic dance sequence right in the middle of the movie to Rock DJ, Robbie Williams' probably biggest hit in the U.S.
Probably
that
biggest
or
hit, yeah.
Millennium.
I was going to say, yeah, Rock DJ I'm not familiar with, but Millennium
even
is
close.
I heard.
You didn't know Rock D. I don't want to rock.
I did not know that
Oh
one.
my gosh.
But I knew Millennium.
But like this is a
We've got
really
smiles direct to our face. I don't know the lyrics, but
a genuinely great sequence in the middle, and I thought it was interesting the way that
Millennium was the theme song to the TV show, right?
yes, it was. Yeah, but Lance Henriksen did a cover of it for that. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Like he's Kelsey Grammer. or
yeah.
some shit.
You know, like they're just exploring his lined face as Millennium plays. No, you
Well,
know,
Dan, what it
of-
is you think you're looking over kind of like a desert wasteland, and then it pulls back at the very end, and you see that it was Lance Henriksen's face the whole time. Yeah, yeah.
great actor. A lot of
No idea
modern.
what you guys are talking about.
You may remember him best from The Day Lincoln Was Shot, the TV movie where he played Abraham Lincoln.
He was
That's
he was
probably it.
Bishop in Aliens.
Oh, he's in Pumpkinhead. He doesn't play Pumpkinhead, but he's the guy who summons
I love,
Pumpkinhead.
it's just like credit after credit that we have no reason to expect Hallie to be familiar with.
I mean, I thought Aliens maybe.
he
Anyway,
plays Ace in Quick and the Dead.
Oh, you may remember best at the start of the show, Millennium.
he comes back in Aliens versus Predator. Anyway, no, the rock DJ scene. A lot of modern musicals like cut things all to hell, and this is like clearly digitally stitched together from a bunch of different stuff.
And I'm sure a
but
lot of it
is
was on green screen anyway, but
Yeah.
it is done as
It's
if it's one continuous dance.
presented as a continuous shot where you can see the full bodies a lot of the time, and it goes all the way like through the streets of London into different it goes into stores, it goes on top of a bus. Like it's a really genuinely great sequence.
How
And
many-
they're
wait,
good,
Dan,
and they're
how many-
great dancers.
And they're great dancers.
Yeah.
How many
Yep.
how many deckers is that bus, Dan?
Oh, it's a double.
Yeah, that's right. They pulled out all the stops. but yeah, this is a really well done scene, and it's really exciting. Like it really gets you into the energy that they want you to get you into. It's really good. Yeah.
Unfortunately, this hits about a third of the way through, and I feel like the movie has difficulty recapturing this energy.
No, it never hits that high again, which is a problem. But it did. I'm like, oh, well, this is a way forward for a movie musical where it's like, this is modern Flash, but you're still getting to see like a big, genuine dance musical number that's not cut to hell. Like it looks more like a music video, honestly, but in a good way.
But it seriously did make me wonder, like if he had not been a chimp, like
Go on.
It reminded me of so many things that get so much critical acclaim. You know, I said Maestro, but it was also like, oh, this is like also a way better version of La La Land. Like all movies that were nominated for Oscars, and then this made $700.
So you're saying it's anti-chimp racism is part of it.
I think the backlash, they just,
I will say, I thought of La La Land 2 while I was watching this because there's that first scene in La La Land where they're dancing in the streets. La La Land 2. La La again. It's the La La La. It's the La La Land 2. La 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 La. Yeah. And it's called La La Lands. It's like, oh no, now there's more of them.
Sign, yeah.
But but I will say, I thought of that first scene where they're kind of dancing on the freeway or whatever, and I was like, I like this scene more. And the only part of La La Land that's really exciting to me is the part when he's supposed to be selling out and he plays that great keyboard solo. And I'm like, yeah, this keyboard solo rocks. Like, why are we supposed to see this as the nadir of his artistic career? And this captured that energy really nicely. So I think probably the difference is, here are my theories for why this didn't get the same kind of acclaim. One, it's a chimp doing it. Two, Robbie Williams, and three, like it being like yet another biopic, which I think give people reasons to turn away from it, or to treat it as lesser. I don't know. I mean, when it came out, it did not get bad reviews.
This came out after the Queen one?
Yes.
Okay. I think part of it, is because we don't have a single person to kind of hang this on. Like, we don't have Taron Egerton doing Elton John. We don't have Rami Malek doing Freddie Mercury.
That being said,
we have Andy Serkis doing.
That's what I assumed. Yeah,
it's not Andy Serkis.
Right?
It's somebody else. But we do have that chimp. But I think it does make it makes the movie feel like a novelty act rather than a real story. And I will say, cutting ahead slightly as a spoiler to my final judgment, it's a very well-made movie in a lot of ways, and yet I could never quite get over my intense lack of interest in the life story of Robbie Williams, and the movie did not find the angle. It got the angle to get me in through the door, which is there's a chimp dancing, but it did not get me into this. It didn't get into my heart to the point where I'm like, oh, I care about this guy and I care about what he's doing, and I think that's the real weakness of it. Whereas maybe with Bohemian Rhapsody, it's partly because people have such a lot more audiences went in with affection for Freddie Mercury. Like, his story is genuinely also tragic in a way because he died young, whereas Robbie Williams is just like, and then I did great, and I'm doing good now.
Bohemian Rhapsody told a completely bullshit version.
I mean, it's totally made up also. Yeah. It's not true, which is too bad because Queen is genuinely one of the strangest bands in the history of the world, and it would have been amazing to see their real story, because the stories you hear about them are just bonkers, just very weird. But I think
it's another downfall of the fact that we're talking about many people who are still alive.
Maybe. But also, it feels like maybe you guys didn't feel this way, but I never quite got over feeling like this was kind of a vanity production in the way that Rocket Man feels a little bit to me. Like, if you're producing
exactly a vanity production,
if you're producing your own biopic, basically, then either you got to really pull out the stops to show that you're telling the story or digging deep. And I guess he's kind of digging deep here. He's saying, I'm depressed. I see myself as ugly and weak and bad. But there's always the thing of I think I'm so interesting. You should see my whole life here. And that's a hard hurdle to get over, maybe.
Speaking of his whole life, should we go through the movie, or do we just want to skip to a final judgment?
No, let's go through the movie.
Okay, so he is
Sorry, Stu, I forgot that we rigidly adhere to structure on this podcast.
No, I mean, it just sounded like you were wrapping up.
Yeah. Anyway, I've been Elliot Kalan.
Gary on our hands over here.
Exactly.
Have a what on our hands?
Gary.
Sorry about that.
So Robbie is floundering a little bit. He wants to do his own solo album, and he bumps into Nicole. What's her last name? Nicole Appleton from the band All Saints.
Owner of a ton of apples.
All Saints was a popular UK girl group. When I was living in Germany and Austria, their song Black Coffee was on MTV a lot, and I always kind of associate my time over there with that song. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But
Was that in the movie?
No.
No.
But I was surprised. I'm like, oh, I'm familiar with this girl group. So they hit it off.
But their number one hit, the one that went number one in the movie, that everybody knows that song, right?
Wait, which song
Which
was
one's
it?
that?
It's like, and it never felt so low. When you're gonna get me out of this black hole? Dun, dun, dun,
I think you mean Black Hole Sun.
Yeah.
Won't you come
No.
and wash
Away
away the rain?
No, that's not what I mean.
Oh.
Okay.
Never mind then. Oh, okay.
So they start a romance. The two of them have a musical number, a duet with a little dance on a yacht. It's pretty good.
It's good. You get
It's
flash
one of the better
forwards to
parts of the movie.
their romance as it builds while they're having this
And
dance. It's
also
good
some of the
dancing.
lows of their relationship.
She is a really good dancer, also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and through the montage of flashing forward, you get it's sort of obliquely shown in the. I mean, they say it outright later on, but it's obliquely shown in this montage in a way that, like, I'm like, oh, I'm glad I read the Wikipedia page for what's going on here. That her label pressured her to have an abortion of their child, which then leads to kind of the divide in their relationship.
Because that was definitely very obliquely done in a way that I thought maybe she had a miscarriage. Because you see them putting a crib together, and then it's just kind of things are not good after that, and they're
No, but you
sad.
see the manager like yelling at her, and she's like, "No!" And then you see the manager
and
taking her
point to a baby, and then like, cross it off.
He brings out a doll, and then he just goes.
So their relationship starts to deteriorate. He keeps doing too many drugs. He's very cheeky on television. He has some successful albums. He seems to be sleeping around quite a bit, which that means we get at least one shot of a chimpanzee in bed with some naked ladies.
Mm-hmm. Damn, that must have been like seeing your search results just come to life in a movie.
Exactly.
I did. I was. I mean, this movie was not something where I expected to see that. I will say that.
Really?
Dan was Dan was like, wait a minute, am I still watching the movie, or did I accidentally switch browser windows?
Like, this is a very
How did my fantasy get on the screen? Is this AI?
There's a lot of. I guess there's a lot of swearing, but like,
Am I the length of heaven?
Because it is such a basic story, it like read to me as like PG in a way that I'm like, oh, there's like 3 nude ladies in bed with a chimpanzee. That I did not expect.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean that is fair. That is fair. Yeah.
Do you think that's one of those things where they hadn't quite thought of when they started the process of making a movie about a chimp Robbie Williams, and then they're like, oh shit?
It's very possible that they didn't realize it would cut down on the amount of kind of like scandalous love scenes they'd be able to do.
Yeah.
It reminds me of so my younger son has really gotten into the original Planet of the Apes movies recently, and we skipped Beneath the Planet of the Apes because I was worried the mutants would scare him, and I was talking to my wife about the making of it, and I was saying how the original version of it, they were going to have an ape-human hybrid to show that maybe there's a way for the apes and the humans to get along, and they even went as far as to do a makeup test with a kid in ape-human makeup, and then they realized the implication is that a human had sex with an ape, and that it was too late in the process for them to not have spent the money on the makeup, but they cut it out of the movie, and it feels like this is a similar thought process here, where they're like, we'll show him as a chimp, it'll be amazing, and we'll show all his bad boy exploits. Oh, you mean like when he slept with women, so you want to show him as a chimp having sex with women? And they were like, ooh, okay. Wow. I wish we weren't on day 49 of the 50-day shooting schedule,
You guys, this moment did not, I mean, it stuck out to me because there were naked ladies, but like the interspecies, that did not affect me as much as it seemingly.
As just Robbie Williams at that point. Like, I didn't really think about it.
Maybe it's because I'm a visual learner. I kept having to remind myself, oh yeah, he's a person. He's not a chimp.
Yeah, I have amnesia, so I keep forgetting what's happening.
Elliot, because you brought up Planet of the Apes, though. So I finally recently got a new phone to get ahead of our idiot president's disastrous tariffs and such.
Can't wait to find out how this has to do with Planet of the Apes.
I mean, it's going to get
we're
there.
On a journey.
Your impatience will be slapped
rewarded
down when you. No, so I was like, I hate AI for all sorts of applications, but I'm not, like, across the board, I'm not like, well, this has no use whatsoever. Like, I was like, oh, well, it has this, like, the phone has this function. Point it at a thing, it'll tell you what the thing is.
Write
like,
a screenplay for me.
I'll try that. Yeah, that's my favorite function. The one that's put everyone out of work. But I'm like, let me put it up to a better man and see what happens. And sure enough, it says, you're watching Planet of the Apes. I'm like, oh, AI. Even for the things I kind of accept you for, you
correct.
suck.
Dan, I'm gonna do you even one better. I have a new children's book out. I'll plug it later called Sadie Mouse Wrecks the House, and I had to look up the date of an author event I'm doing so I could talk about it on this podcast. And when I Googled Sadie Mouse, Once Upon a Time, which is the name of the store, the AI said, this may refer to the book Sadie Mouse Wrecks the House or Sadie such and such of the Manson family as portrayed in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I'm like, I guess they did wreck that house.
Yeah.
AI, Google AI. I guess they did.
Correct.
Have you seen that thing where, like, people just, like, put in totally made up phrases into, like, ChatGPT and ask them to explain it, and ChatGPT confidently, like, claims, like, oh, that's what this means. It's like, fuck you.
So I guess we know ChatGPT is a man.
Whoa, air horns.
Oh, wait. I don't know how I can. I'm so roasted here. I don't know how to pick up my phone.
They're going to have to fix that by stealing Scarlett Johansson's voice and just sticking it on there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Robbie manages to he nets a big like
a huge
big
fish.
He nets a huge festival appearance at Nebworth. Were you guys familiar with Nebworth?
I was not. So when they kept saying Nebworth, we got to do Nebworth. I was like, I got to look what this is. Don't know what they're talking about.
It sounds like a nerdy villain or like a butler character, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Nebworth.
Stop bothering us, Nebworth. You're too small to play the piccolo. I'll show you.
So leading up to this point, every
How
time
can you
Robbie
be too small to play the piccolo?
He is so small.
Every time Robbie is performing on stage, he looks out into the audience and he sees past versions of himself saying horrible, violent threats to him, basically. Like, you're going to fail, I'm going to kill you, all these things.
The I'm going to kill you was weird. Like, I get, like, the self-doubt and, like, like, you're ugly, you're stupid. But, like, I'm going to kill you does not seem like something you say to yourself.
Yeah.
No, not particularly. Yeah.
I mean, although he was in many ways trying to kill himself with drugs and then later on with, I think, a razor blade.
Yeah,
but
on a frozen pond.
So the whole time I'm like, every
On
time
a
he's
door.
performing, I'm like, something bad's going to happen. But I'm not that worried because I've seen Smile 2, the worst possible concert performance thing in a movie. But this seems to be.
I mean,
his
Trap
big,
was a pretty bad outcome for a concert performance too.
You
You end
should
up at a
watch
serial killer's
Smile
house.
2,
I mean,
Dan.
The actual concert goes off without a hitch and Trap.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, exactly. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
You can buy her album somewhere, I bet, right? M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. So Lady Raven? Raven? Yeah, cool. I remember.
I mean, she doesn't perform in real life as Lady Raven. That's her character in the
She
in the
doesn't?
movie. I think
Well,
she
then
performs.
like a misstep.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
should do that.
Yeah.
So what I'm
experience.
saying is that this is like his like relationship with himself and his addiction and his relationship with his father. That's his big challenge that he has to overcome.
Yes.
And his stress leading up to this big festival forces him to push everyone away.
It's turning into more of a stress-tival.
Yeah, thank you. He destroys his relationship with Nicole, his grandmother, not mother, dies.
Yes, thank you.
And he wrecks his relationship with his best friend, who is a guy that he's known for years.
This guy, like, I was like, are we supposed to?
Yeah, we were.
I mean,
Actually, they showed up earlier.
I-
They were drinking together when he said, "I'm going to go be in a boy band." Yeah,
They were like sitting on a
billboard or
sign.
something.
But
Yeah.
like, he was not a big part of the movie. Like, they made it out like
He's like a conscience.
this is like a huge thing, and I'm like, this guy was barely here for the whole rest of the film.
Dan, did you really want to see a lot of scenes with him hanging out with his old buddy, or did you want to see this chimp dancing on a double-decker
No,
bus?
you're right.
Do you think that old buddy
I want
really
more
exists,
medicine,
or
less
he
ice
was
cream,
invented
please?
for the movie?
Do you think what?
Do you think this character actually existed in real life, or if this was just like a straw man?
I bet he's a composite of the people he knew.
composite.
No, I think
and,
he's real. I think he's real, and I think Robbie was like, I got to put him in the movie. Like
then
he'll
this guy
know
is
how
a
much I love
legend.
him.
That's how people are going to get mad if I don't put this guy in the movie. It'd be like making a Beatles movie and not putting in Who's a Beatle?
Yoko.
Yeah, there you go.
So he strains all his relationships. He even his father, who had come back into his life when he became successful, he even pushes his father away. Which at this point we're like, yeah, your father's a piece of shit. Like we all know this.
He deserves
it. So he does the festival. It
Not
goes
a better
off.
man.
It
his
goes
father.
off without a hitch,
Should be.
except for the fact that he jumps off the stage and he battles digital versions of former selves, slaughtering them in quite a battle.
Yeah, but we presume that the audience probably doesn't see that happening.
My guess is that
I'm
if you look at
assuming
the archival footage of his actual performance at Knebelworth, that he doesn't jump off the
Knebelworth?
stage and just start fighting people, and it ends with him stabbing through the or I guess not ends. One of the big moments is him stabbing through the chest his Pirates of Penzance younger kid self,
Yeah.
Childish.
It's really sad.
which really was sad. Yeah, and it was a
And he gave a little whimper.
it was rough.
Seems like that version of himself didn't really do anything bad to him.
No, not
Yeah.
particularly. But I will say this was one of those moments where I'm like, I don't really buy this as a scene, but I love seeing this kind of chimp fight free for all. It's all CGI. It doesn't look like real chimps, but like I love seeing all these different chimps in different costumes fighting each other.
Yeah,
like that's
this
why they
was-
made the movies.
It was like 300. Is that the name? Is that the number?
Yep.
That's the
Yeah.
movie?
There's
That's
like
what I
number?
thought.
Yeah, it was like 300 chimps. Yeah.
300. Yeah, they stood against Persia in the hot gates.
Yeah.
The
Now,
thing
how
is,
would the movie 300 be different if all the Spartans were chimps? That would
not
feel different
that
too.
much.
I guess that's
don't
true.
think.
Yeah.
They would all be ripped.
Super ripped chimps. Yeah.
Now, I'm not the biggest fan always of like a mishmash of CGI characters battling each other, but I will say I much prefer that than seeing actual chimps having to hit each other with fists.
for
That
sure.
would make
Stu.
me upset.
I think we can all agree that this is a
Just
better
to make
movie.
a stand here.
It's a better movie for not Lancelot Link style using a real chimp in a costume and like putting peanut butter on his lips so that his mouth moves and not having real chimps fighting each other. I think we all agree with that. Yeah.
Now, for people who aren't as old as us and didn't see it in this indication, Lancelot Link was a secret chimp.
Now that implies that you think he's a chimp in secret, like Robbie
No,
Williams
no,
in Better
no.
Man. No. He's actually a secret agent who's a chimp in a world of chimps where everyone is a chimp. Yeah.
See, I like my chimps playing baseball with Matt LeBlanc, and that's it.
Yeah.
In which case, I don't think that was a real chimp in that movie. I think that's a person in a costume. So
What?
all the better. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, sorry,
Stuart's
Stu.
innocence has
What?
been shattered.
Maybe you need to watch Dunstan Checks In, which I guess
The
I think
magic
is
of-
also maybe not a real
magic
ape,
of the
but-
Oh, I
movies
think
is
Dunstan's a
fucking me
real
up.
one.
Is Dunstan a real one? That
Dunstan is
Dunstan,
a
he's
real
a real one. Let me tell you this about Dunstan. That
Old
guy,
heads know
that was it
Dunstan is a
orangutan, I think? That orangutan, or I don't remember if it's orangutan or a gorilla. He is a real one. 100%. He gives 100% all the time.
He will check in. You doing bad? He'll check in.
He's not afraid of it. Yeah.
That's what it's about, right?
So after his performance,
This is my review. If it was, I hope it's a real ape so that I can go back in time and write a review of that ape's performance and say, Dunstan checked out halfway through the movie.
Oh man, Dunstan's gonna be so fucking bummed when he reads
So
that in the
mad.
trades.
So
man.
mad. Yeah.
You made Dunstan cry.
So
This is
after-
what it sounds like when apes cry. Do, 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 do. Anyway.
You go with when Dunstan cries?
Yeah.
Because
That's
it
not
has
the right
same
number of
begin-
syllables.
But it has
It's
the same
doves.
beginning sound as doves.
Dan,
so-
you're
Prince
right.
was one of the greatest songwriters of all time. I do not want to ruin his scansion by trying to fit
Well, then go,
Dunstan in where Doves
when
goes.
Dunsts cry. I don't know.
You're right, much better. Dunst, very much better. Yeah.
That's only his
We'll
two
workshop
friends can
it.
call him that.
By the time
Yeah.
we take this on the road, we'll have it.
It's still better than my Raspberry Berape parody. So
So after battling
again,
themselves in
no disrespect to Prince, one of the greatest songwriters of all time. Okay, Stu, continue.
after all this, Robbie contemplates self-harm, but he stops himself and he checks himself into rehab. He cleans himself up, and then his first big step, only step, is that he reconnects and with all the people that he's pushed away in his life, and he makes like showy amends with everybody. Right? He gives Gary Barlow back a watermelon with a penis crudely carved in it.
I love the idea that he's been mad at him all these years because he never paid him back for that watermelon. This was all it took. Yeah.
The watermelon symbolizes something.
You
I
got to
guess
imagine
drug
those are,
use.
you got to imagine those are expensive in England too. Like you're not growing watermelons in England; those are all imported. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Where do you grow watermelons?
Yeah.
You can grow them here.
We grow them in the United
Anthony
States.
grew them. That's my husband, and he grew them in our yard.
Yeah, we've grown watermelons in
Really?
ours too. Yeah, they grow a lot in Mexico. They grow a lot in Japan is where they grow the square ones.
That sounds
you know how
so-
they make a square watermelon? They just put it in a box.
It
That's all
sounds
they
so
do.
exotic to me to live a place where you could grow your own watermelon.
So
Yeah.
Dan, so are you going to try to grow your own watermelons now in your window box? In your,
I think
in
you
your
could do it.
premise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the temperatures here is
Well, you
probably
can figure
right.
it out. You're
I
smart.
bet you could do it. Yeah, I bet you could figure it out. Maybe
Yeah.
just get some grow lights and
Mm-hmm.
You can do it inside.
yeah.
You should
A lot of
grow it
space.
like under your bed.
Yeah.
Put grow lights under your bed so it also looks like your bed is like a race car.
Yeah. Yeah.
And-
That'd be cool.
I think it's pretty
And then
cool.
the bed just like slowly like goes up higher as the watermelons grow.
Yeah,
up
it's a real
underneath
Little
it.
Nemo type scenario.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it.
Down
yeah.
by the bay. That's where they grow also. Down by the bay.
Yeah,
by the
that's
water.
true. They do, but don't talk to your mom about it. She's going to ask you if you've seen some crazy things.
Yeah.
So the movie concludes. Robbie does a big performance at the Royal Albert Hall. And he does a kind of like a cabaret style show where I'm assuming he does some of his own songs. He also does a tribute to his mother. He brings his father up on stage and they sing My Way by Sinatra. Again, that's a Sinatra original or is that a standard before that?
No, I think, you know what? I don't. He didn't write it. Like, Sinatra didn't write his songs, but I think it was his. I think he
His song.
may have introduced it. Like, it was his
Yeah.
signature song for sure. That
He did it his way.
he did do it his way, which means usually extending all the syllables as long as possible. Yeah.
And that's kind of the end of the movie. He I think he says something cheeky at the end,
Yeah.
and that's it.
He
Yeah,
literally
that's-
ends saying, like, that's my story. I'm an entertainer. I'm the best in the world. Fuck you. And then the movie ends. And it's like, I just
Yeah.
watched your whole movie. Why are you mad at me? I don't understand.
And I'm like, if you have to say that, I don't think it's true. If you have to tell me you're the best in the world,
Well, he says he's a cabaret entertainer. He's copping to like being corny. I think a little bit at the oh, this is what I really
Yeah.
like is this
Yeah.
stuff.
It is interesting. Like it is interesting that like I wonder if there's this is not a more interesting version of the movie, I guess, but like about a guy who's a pop star but really wants two chimps that will adore you. The whole movie is him. He's a pop star, but he really wants to do kind of old fashioned. He wants to do Seth MacFarlane style big band and cabaret songs, and I wonder if that would have been in some ways a more interesting thing than fame is tough. You get everything you want and it hurts.
Yeah.
If it's like I'm a performer who's doing work that is not what I want to do. Although he writes the songs, so I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You know.
He writes the songs that make Robbie Williams.
but there's also
sing.
a theme that he feels like he is doing everything but he doesn't really want to. Like he throughout the whole movie, even when he's when he's performing his own stuff, he feels like he is doing it for someone else.
Yeah.
In this
Yeah.
case, for most of it, it's like he's trying to live out his father's fantasy to get some
Which
kind of
is-
approval from his father.
Yeah, but it's also like very weird that the whole running theme is like I did it my way because the whole theme of the movie is like I was just doing it for everyone else and I just cared about what the other people thought of me. So he really wasn't doing it his way. He
Well,
was
we're-
doing-
I feel like we're in Final Judgment
we're
territory.
soaking in it
We are in
already.
Final
So
Judgments
let's do
territory.
final judgments. Whether this is a good bad movie, bad movie, or movie we kind of liked. I kind of liked this one. It is a kinda like I enjoyed the first half when things were fun better than the inevitable like sink into the mire of like drugs and alienating people.
It's the weird. I guess actually this is the way to sort of a lot of these movies that when things get better for the character, the movie gets kind of sadder and grimmer and more boring. You know that like it's fun to see someone dissolving and being hedonistic, but it's not so fun to see someone recognizing the trouble and reconnecting with other people.
Yeah.
Oh, Honora.
I will say there is one funny moment in the that we should have mentioned in the reconnecting with people montage where he goes to his grandmother's grave with a TV and a VCR and watches the old shows they love to watch together with her tombstone
and chips.
and some chips. And I thought it was so funny because it was crisps. Yeah, I thought it was so funny because I was like, So does he think his grandmother is enjoying this? Like this is making up for lost time? And also, anyone else walking through that cemetery would just see a famous man laughing his head off in the middle of a cemetery watching a TV show, which seems super disrespectful. What is going on in this scene? But anyway, I just thought it was a funny thing to put in.
I would say, go Dan.
Oh, yeah. I think there's going to be a split decision on the chimpanzee decision. For me, I think that it takes what is just a basic biopic, and it's like, okay, I wouldn't necessarily be sympathetic to this guy who's like just destroying his own life without having any like particularly large problems that he's raging against normally, if not for the fact that it sort of literalizes how alienated he feels in a way that like is hard to ignore. And I felt more sympathy for this chimpanzee man than maybe I would have for Robbie Williams.
Chimpanzee, yeah.
But it does kind of lose a lot of steam. I didn't love it, but I kind of liked it. Stuart?
Yeah, I would say so. I'm as I've said before, I greatly dislike musician biopics. I don't care. I just don't give a shit. I don't need to hear a rags to riches story where he gets famous very young and is famous. And the thing he has to overcome is doing too many drugs and whatnot. I couldn't care less. There's a couple of things, moments in the movie, like obviously that big dance number I thought was a lot of fun. I really like the scene when his dad tries to reunite with him when when he's famous again, and he brings some woman into Robbie's hotel room, and she's like, "Can I use your bathroom? It's a number 2." I was like, "Great scene, perfect." But yeah, this is I think. The choice to make him a chimp I found kind of fascinating, and like every once in a while I would just be reminded of it, and I'm like, why the fuck are they doing this? But I thought it was, I thought that was a fun choice that made it. I feel like it would be almost insufferable without the chimp character. So I'm going to say I think this is a bad movie. This is not for me.
I'm going to call this also a movie. I didn't like it, but damn it, I respected it. I'm going to call this a movie I kind of respect in that it is well made. I think at heart, it never gets. I was never interested in Robbie Williams, and I never felt emotionally connected with him or anything like that. So I think it fails at its number one job, which is to get me to care at all about the main character. But I think it succeeds in being like really watchable, and a lot of the scenes work well, and the dance numbers are really fun. The fact that I don't know the music and don't like that music particularly was not as big a hurdle as I thought it would be because those scenes are well done. But it does feel like that chimp thing, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. It is both the only interesting thing about the movie, and it also shows you how not interesting, to me at least, the rest of the movie is. Because the whole time you're like, there's a chimp doing this stuff. This should be more, they should be doing, what's other stuff you can do? What are your other ideas? And it feels like the movie had one idea, basically, At
one point, he runs into the Gallaghers from Oasis.
Yeah.
And I was
Gallagher 1 and Gallagher 2.
I'm like...
Speaking of watermelons.
And the movie does portray them as, assholes, which famously they are assholes, right?
Yeah, famously they're really bad guys.
And I thought, I feel like it would have been great if they were the only other animal characters in the movie. Like if they were like a couple of storks or something.
I mean, I would have
loved... Storks would be good for them.
I would have liked it more if they just went full mouse and everyone was an animal,
Except for him.
Except for, or if they had gone. I kind of wanted him to start when he's a kid. I kind of wanted him to see him as a person and then have him either he cut and he's a chimp, or he changes into a chimp. Something to really make it clear that the filmmakers know that this is not a story about a talking, singing chimp that is a human family. It's not Stuart Little, but a chimp instead of a mouse. A human family with one animal member. But it felt like. Once you've taken a swing that big, to then make the rest of the movie taking no big swings. There's good sequences in it, but to play the rest of it pretty safe, it feels really disappointing. And I just, his Robbie Williams story was just not quite interesting enough to me to, in some ways, to justify taking such a big swing that you shouldn't judge a movie by its budget. You should judge it by its by what it does. But that added millions and millions of dollars to the budget. That every scene had to be performed by a CGI chimp, and I think that was mostly money well spent in this case, except do more with it. That's what I would say anyway, from a story perspective. Hallie, what did you say? What do you think?
I liked it. I loved it.
You lived it.
But I
She
also
wants some more of it.
exactly. But I thought that everyone keeps saying like, well, I'm not that into Robbie Williams. I don't like his music, so the story inherently wasn't that interesting to me. But I actually thought that the reason why it was interesting is because he's sort of like this side character of fame. Like when you see him like with the Oasis people, you're like, oh yeah, this guy is also famous, but I have no respect for him as like a musician. And it's kind of interesting to like watch a whole movie about someone who like you don't take seriously, but they are themselves. So they obviously take themselves seriously. I don't know. I thought it was sort of like fascinating to like be really invested in a silly famous person.
Yeah.
You know?
And I want to say, like, I don't have any sort of breadth of Robbie Williams musical knowledge because he wasn't famous in the U.S., but the songs I do know, I actually like. They're good pop songs. They're
his songs are they're fine,
I mean,
but nobody is like he's the best. I don't think anyone is like he's doing the best work in this form. They're fine.
No, but I think they're fine, but I don't know. I feel like there's high lowbrow, and then there's Robbie Williams. Like Robbie Williams, I wouldn't say I like have a ton of like respect for his music, but if I'm at the disco, I'm happy when
which you go to a lot as a parent of two.
You're at the disco, Hallie.
Well,
tell us about your.
That's actually how I know all these Robbie Williams songs, because when I was like went abroad to Argentina, that's where I would hear them, was like going to like dance clubs.
Yeah.
But I loved it, and I thought it was like I did think it was more ambitious than just the monkey choice, because it did have like all of these crazy, like the big fight scene, the big dance scenes. Like I thought it was like a really ambitious movie that kept me very entertained. I did feel the way you guys felt about like it losing steam the more he descends into addiction, because it just felt like there was no way to heighten. Like you just kept getting these scenes of him losing his mind, and it was like, okay, like you can't lose your mind any more than you already lost your mind.
He gets addicted so early in his life, and maybe that's just the way that it was, but it does feel like, okay, and now he's still addicted,
Yeah.
You're right. There's no, you want to see a build there. That's a really good point.
I mean,
and you want it to build to the point where he has an all-out chimp battle, and then the movie ends. Like, I don't know why the movie keeps going after that,
Kind of the most striking part of him, like, losing it is early on when he takes the watermelon, and there's like another cool sequence where he's like driving at full speed in the rain, and
the world's
like has
exploding
sort of, like,
around
fantasy, like driving into the water and almost
like,
drowning.
It's really
that
was a great
beautifully
sequence.
shot.
That's a really great sequence. Yeah,
and that this director also did Greatest Showman, a movie that has its fans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm somewhat mystified, but
I think, and similarly, The Greatest Showman has some great produced sequences in it. Some great it's got great sequences to watch, and especially the musical numbers. But that's another one where the story, you're like, what? Like there's very little to dig into. Although
like Zac Efron's like climbing a rope or something. I don't remember.
Well, that one is so completely inaccurate, and I feel like I wish they'd taken a little bit of that and put it into this movie to like if they were like, oh, that's the point when I got arrested for trying to kidnap the queen or something like that. Like I wish they'd gotten bigger with it.
Because part of it is like Robbie Williams is sold on his like charm and like cheek, and like I would like to see more of that injected into the storytelling, this like braggadocio.
It made me want to be more cheeky. I was like, maybe that's all I need.
Maybe that is what you need. You should try it out. So, Hallie, be a little cheeky. Do something cheeky.
Wouldn't you like that?
Look at her. Look at that face.
Oh, you can't see the face, listeners. There's a very cheeky face. One thing this movie did hit home for me, which is something that I wish I like to see, is those glimpses of British culture that we don't always get in the United States, because we tend to get the more sophisticated British culture, not always, but over here, and how so much of British culture is lowest, crassest, dumbest stuff, and like he said bum, and they're all laughing. Like it's just to be reminded that England has this strain of just the dumbest stuff. I really like a lot. Yeah,
but I also will say I actually don't usually like dancing or singing in movies. I don't usually like fight scenes, and I really liked all of that in these movies.
Okay.
So, or in this movie. So I think it was done really well. I don't know.
You know, like dancing, singing, or fight scenes? This was like
No,
some of
I
the
feel
top
like
things that can be in movies.
Stephen Chow is crying right now.
No, I feel like usually it's like, ugh. Like, that's how I feel about when in La La Land. I was like, ugh, you're embarrassing yourself, guys. Come on.
Someone needs to go in there and tell these people
Jackie Chan,
that
just
people are
stop
watching
it. You're
them.
embarrassing yourself.
Yeah.
Hey,
Jackie Chan, Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire, quit it. Just don't. Just who cares?
Dancing
Don't.
on air.
you know, the Flophouse is sponsored mostly by the wonderful listeners, members of Max Fun. Thank you for being a member if you are. But we also have a couple of sponsors. And one of them this week is Aura Frames. Are you ready to win Mother's Day? Are you ready to prove to your mom that you know the difference between her and your grandmother? Well, why not? Why not show that you're the best gift giver in your family by giving your mother an Aura digital picture frame? And maybe it could be one that's preloaded with decades of family photos. Like, that's the beauty of these frames is you can preload them and from a distance using the power of the internet add new photos so your family is up to date on all the great things in your life, and it's, you know, you can do it from afar. I have one of these frames. It's a wonderful thing because we have all of our wedding photos on there, stuff that otherwise maybe would go in a an album that you take down once every few years and take a look at. But instead, we get to be reminded of all our great friends. I have photos of these two Flophouse co-host jokers pop up regularly.
I was invited to the wedding. I couldn't go because I was too pregnant, but I was invited, just so the listeners know.
Yes, I know that Hallie would have been there.
Dan
if she
said
could
nobody's
have
going to upstage me at my wedding,
No.
especially not a pregnant lady.
Keep that belly away, I said. It was named the best.
This wedding has a 4-drink minimum, so Hallie, you're not coming.
That would be wild. We have to take advantage of the open bar. 4-drink minimum. It was named the best digital photo frame by Wirecutter. It's easy to see why. It's got unlimited storage, so you can add as many photos, videos. Hey, why not some funny memes? Throw those in there as you can find.
You can put videos on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's the magic. That's the magic of this modern world. So if you want to take advantage of this, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. For a limited time, listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com. That's AURA, frames.com, to get $35 off plus free shipping on their best-selling Carver matte frame. That's AURAframes.com, promo code FLOP. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Stuart.
Hey, y'all. This podcast is also brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is a all-in-one platform for creating a website. Hey, you. Do you want a website? Maybe for your small business? Well, one of the great things about Squarespace, they offer a complete library of professionally designed website templates, so you don't have to necessarily be that kind of creative. You can be a business person who might just need a little bit of help with the artistry. There is some intuitive options like drag and drop editing, styling options, visual design effects. You don't have to be a website coder or anything like that. Like, I don't even know if what I said was real. I don't know if those are real jobs. Also, once you get that website set up, they also offer plenty of options and easy-to-use ways to sell services and also do billing and receive online payments, which is really helpful. It's easy to set up and easy to use. So head over to squarespace.com/flop for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code FLOP to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
We also have a couple of Jumbotrons. That's right.
Jumbotrons.
Not just regular Trons, but Trons that are jumbo. And the first one is from Laura, last name withheld, she says, for years, my husband Brendan and I have been listening to The Flophouse. Our new video game, Skin Deep, is a comedy stealth game inspired by immersive sims like Thief, Prey, and Dishonored, and by classic action movies like Die Hard. Play as Nina Pasadena, a human insurance commando who saves talking cats from space pirates. You can flush a pirate's head down a toilet, use deodorant as a weapon, and drive a mech. It's on Steam right now to buy or wishlist. Check out our slapstick stealth game, Skin Deep, on the Steam store. So that's one Jumbotron. That sounds pretty fun to me. Yeah, next Jumbotron. This is a message for Dylan, last name withheld. And this message is from Melissa, Morgan, Harper, and Charlie. Last names also withheld. And that message is, happy 40th birthday to you and Kellen. You are a wonderful brother and uncle. Thank you for introducing us to some of our favorite things, Flophouse included. Here's to many more years of Nuggets championships and video games with the kids. This place may be a prison, but we will always love you. Even Harper, despite her note.
Do you think they're really in prison?
I have to assume so, yeah.
And Nuggets championships are when you try to eat as many chicken nuggets as possible in one sitting, right?
I mean, I can't think of any other way to take that phrase.
Or when you're listening to Nuggets, that psychedelic songs collection.
Oh, not familiar, but okay,
no,
sure.
Okay, you know what? I'll pretend I get that reference.
And what's the championship aspect of it?
Just how long you can just like let's do it on a loop.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe you want to mention your book.
That's exactly what I was going to do. Thank you, Dan. You've got a book in you, Stu. Someday. Confessions of a Bartender.
Hey, don't sell yourself short. You've got a bunch of books.
You can do it. Yeah. That's a real Chico Marx way to do it. Oh, I don't have a book. Hey, you got a bunch of books. I've seen them on your shelves. Yeah. I have a new children's picture book that is out right now. It's called Sadie Mouse Wrecks the House by me and with art by Tim Miller. It is about a good girl mouse who is tired of doing the chores and decides she's going to do them bad, so she never has to do them again, and she wrecks her house. You can pick it up in bookstores now. It's a really fun book for kids. It's a picture book, as I said, for children. And I am going to be making a public appearance.
Wow. Wear your bulletproof vest.
Are you saying that to the audience? Because, my children's things, I like to, they're just pellets. They're just pellets. It's not so Saturday, May 17th, 1 week after this episode is released, I believe, at 11 a.m., I will be at Once Upon a Time bookstore in Montrose, California. Once Upon a Time is one of the oldest children's bookstores in the state, possibly in the country. I'm not sure. It's a great little store. I love it there. And I'm going to be doing a story time reading Sadie Mouse to anyone who shows up at 11 a.m. Saturday, May 17th. So please come by to Once Upon a Time in Montrose, California.
If no one shows up, will you still read it?
I will still read it. I've done book readings where no one showed up, and I just read it for the people who work at the store. So that will happen. But please don't force the people who work at the store to listen to me. Come by Saturday, May 17th at 11 a.m. at Once Upon a Time bookstore to hear Sadie Mouse Wrecks the House.
Hey, we're the Eurovangelists, and it's the most wonderful time of the year because the Eurovision Song Contest is next week.
37 countries will face off in Basel, Switzerland to determine who has the best song in Europe.
On our show, we've argued about all the songs, and we are heading to Europe to bring you our reactions straight from Switzerland.
And on our next episode, we're going to predict who's going to survive the semifinals, compete in the grand final, and ultimately win Eurovision 2025.
Albania, baby!
It's Malta.
Latvia.
But we won't be alone. Glenn Weldon of NPR's Pop Culture Happy Hour will be with us, sharing his own predictions and telling us why we're wrong.
So make sure you're ready for Eurovision by listening to Eurovangelists on Maximum Fun, available everywhere you get podcasts.
You never know what you'll learn more about on the celebrity trivia show Go Fact Yourself.
For over 150 episodes, we've welcomed guests like DJ Jazzy Jeff, Audie Cornish, and Andy Richter to tell us why they love what they love, and then get quizzed on it.
And past quizzes have included some pretty unexpected topics like
reverse painting,
the perfect flip turn while swimming,
Prince's house party playlist from that one episode of New Girl,
and so much more.
Plus, our guests meet surprise experts in their topics.
Like the time we met an actual celebrity cow.
So, listen to Go Fact Yourself twice a month, every month on Maximum Fun.
Do it for the cow!
Let's read some letters from listeners. Why not?
Hey, fuck it.
For a treat.
Yeah, sure. Only live once, right?
This is from...
Depending on your religion.
This is from Elise, last name withheld, who writes, long ago, in 1998, I went to see Armageddon in the theater with my best friend.
Cool.
As a 14-year-old girl, I was enthralled. I laughed, I cried, and I walked away with a huge crush on Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
Probably not what Michael Bay intended. When the movie came out on video, I begged my parents to rent it for family movie night, assuring them that it was a great movie and they would love it.
You're going to love this hunk.
As middle-aged adults with fully grown frontal lobes, they did not love the movie. This is stuck in my mind as my first experience with hyping something up as great and then learning that it was actually pretty stupid. I actually haven't rewatched Armageddon since then because of the residual embarrassment attached to that memory. I have two questions for you to choose.
What a tragedy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If
You're
it's a
that
movie you like, you
embarrassed
should
by
watch it.
looking uncool in front of your parents?
Yeah.
They're just your parents.
They're the least cool people there are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have two
I mean,
questions.
not mine, but sorry, Mom.
I have two questions for you to choose between. One, what was the first time you shared a movie you really liked with someone and they thought it was dumb? Did it change the way you felt about the movie? Two, are there any movie characters you crushed on when they were clearly not intended to be on the movie's roster of crushable characters? Thanks. Elise, last name withheld.
Dan, you can answer both. Don't worry.
I'm able to? I'm allowed?
You're allowed to. Yeah, I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a.
I mean,
I'll answer the first.
Yeah, you
I'm
do
going to
it.
answer first. I'm just going to answer the first one first while I think of an answer to the second.
Sure.
But I remember introducing my friend Nigel, who is from ye old England. I introduced
home of
him
Robbie
to-
Williams.
Home of Robbie Williams.
Wow.
If I told him we watched Better Man, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's my favorite guy."
Oh, me mate, Robbie. Yeah.
Dead on impression. I introduced him to, I loaned him my DVD copy of Wet Hot American Summer. And I'm like, this movie is so funny. I love it. And he watched it. He's like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. And I'm like, is it just that he has bad taste, which is possible, or that he, like, it just didn't translate to the type of comedy he likes, which is like Benny Hill running around and that. And
Oh, yeah. Classic English comedy, the sophisticated English comedy that they love. Yeah, yeah.
But I was like a little shocked also because that was one of those relationships where I kind of viewed him like a cool older brother, and it hurt my feelings.
Certainly, when I was in high school, there was a girl that I had a crush on, and she came over, and I went to her house, and we watched Brazil, which I had seen multiple times, and I was like, "This movie's amazing." And afterwards, she was like, "Yeah, that was a weird movie." And it otherwise made no impression. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess." I felt dumb afterwards. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm having trouble thinking, like, I'm secure in, like, how I feel about my own things that I like,
Have you always felt secure in the things that you like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not
Dan's
secure
always
in,
struck me as someone with a very healthy amount of self-esteem.
Well,
yeah.
here's the thing. I'm not secure about myself, necessarily, but, like, why should I give a shit what your tastes are if they're not mine?
True.
Sounds healthy.
But, I mean, there are occasions where, like, I'm a little sad that someone doesn't like a thing that I like or whatever. And the thing that's springing to mind, even though it's not exactly right, is like I feel like Audrey just got the wrong impression about a thing. I showed her the outtakes for Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas because I was like, "Oh, you'll like this. This is funny." And they're hilarious. I mean, like,
I've seen those outtakes. They are fun outtakes. Yeah, yeah.
There's nothing funniher than outtakes of puppets, staying in character, reacting to stuff. And, she loved the outtakes. And then, one Christmas, we're like, let's watch Emmett Otter. And her main reaction was she found it so sad. And I'm like, yeah, but
it's sad that the fucking River Bottom Nightmare Band doesn't win.
I'm like, it ends up happy. Everyone's happy at the end. She's like, yeah, but it's sad for so much of it. And she just wasn't prepared to watch something bittersweet. I think after these fun outtakes. I don't know.
What about you, Hallie?
Well, I'm trying to think of something. I feel like the opposite usually happens with me, where someone shows me something that they really like and I don't like it, and I have to pretend like I like it. I feel like I'm not secure enough in my own taste that I'm willing to reject the thing that I don't like. So I'm always like, and usually it's whatever it is very, very long, and it's my husband who likes it. And so it's a lot of wasted time.
Give us one. Give us one.
So one of our first dates we went on, we saw that movie, The Great Beauty. Which now that I'm thinking about it, I might have even like recommended it on this podcast because that's how Stockholm Syndrome I am.
Cemented your relationship, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember this, yeah.
Yeah. And if I'm being totally honest with myself, I didn't really like the movie. It was really long and kind of boring. The only thing that was cool was that there was one scene with like a really big giraffe, which I found interesting.
I'm very happy you say this, Hallie, because that's a movie I also did not like very much. But it was one of those movies where people are like, oh, a ravishing love letter to Italy, and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, I don't know. It's kind of boring.
Yeah.
And do we have answers for the second question?
I do.
Yeah.
Let's hear
I
it.
got one.
Dish, Hal, dish. Or
I
dish,
got
Stu, dish.
John Malkovich in both Con Air and Mary
Hell yes.
Riley.
I love this.
Oh, and
This is
Mary
amazing.
Riley.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody likes a bad boy. I would say Ursula from Little Mermaid.
Interesting.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I feel like anything I come up with is like the most like surface level, like oh, not like other guys or other girls, like sort
It's
of like
kitty pride.
oh, I like because like I'm sure that there's a more interesting one, but in a movie where like all the other women are like made up to be like the most conventionally attractive. I remember in Mean Girls being like, who's this Lizzie Kaplan? But she's like a gorgeous woman.
Yeah.
So it's not like that weird.
That's the hard thing. Even in movies, like even John Malkovich has a magnetic like charisma about him.
Yeah.
That's why he's a movie star. But the first things that came to mind to me were. Mentioning Kitty Pryde opened up a whole world of other characters. Because, like, I've always had a crush on the character Spiral, who is an X-Men character
That's a cool one.
She dances. She's got a samurai helmet. She has 6 arms, and like, she changes people's bodies in weird ways. Like, she's amazing. I love her. But the first thing that came to mind was I always used to think like, well, in Teen Wolf, I'm really into Boof. I'm not into the other girl, but the movie is into Boof. Like, obviously, she's the one he's supposed to end up with. But I realized who I really have a crush on are those 2 girls that hang out with Stiles who have no dialogue in the movie.
Yes.
And they always are rolling their eyes at him. They always look like they hate everyone else that they're around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these are exactly the girls in high school I would have had a crush on.
That's the level of confidence you aspire to.
Yes, exactly. They're like, we're not even a part of this world. We're here, we're going through it, and that they're, so that's who I have a crush on, is those girls from Teen Wolf.
What about that little dancing girl from Mac and Me?
Well, that's Nikki Cox. That's just because I didn't have a crush on her. I just always felt bad because I was like, she's trying so hard. Like, she wants to be a professional, you can tell. And it's just she's in this shitty movie. But then I found it was Nikki Cox. I'm like, oh, she had a whole career. Great. Okay. I didn't feel bad anymore.
And I don't know if this is a fair answer, since this might be the sexiest a woman has ever been in a movie. But obviously, Joan Cusack in Addams Family Values is Debbie.
Well, yes, of course. Yes. That's one where, it's one of those things where it's like she's presented as a femme fatale the whole time, so they know she's sexy, but I don't know if they realize how much she is.
Give me a kiss. Give me a 15. What'd you say? Give me a 20. I love it.
Okay. Well, our second and final question from Benny, last name withheld, or letter.
Benny NT Jets.
Benny writes, when listening to your Venom: The Last Dance episode, I was dumbstruck that none of you mentioned the underlying metaphor of an adult man who reflects on a life of retreating into escapist superhero fiction instead of pursuing family or career goals, and whose best friend feels partially and selfishly responsible for his lack of ambition. My question is this.
It's a lot of credit given to Venom 3.
Well,
I love it.
Here we go. My question is this. Have you ever been so confident in an interpretation of a film as universal, only to later find said interpretation was merely a window into your own messy psychology and dysfunctional relationships? So this is a complex question. Believing your interpretation, of course, is the obvious one, and then being like, oh, maybe that's just me. And I don't really have a good one. I thought this was a great question. I don't really have a good one for this. The only thing that came up, and it is not a reflection of anything in my life, but I remember I saw the recent Music Man revival, and it was the first time when I'm like, oh, like Winthrop's obviously like her kid, right? Like that she got pregnant by this guy.
You finally cracked the code, Dan. You finally
well, but
got it.
The thing is, like, and to me, then it seemed so obvious. But then I went online for like confirmation that like, oh, I was just an idiot all these years, and they're like, so many people like saying like no, like look at the ages of the characters. No, like Meredith Willson didn't necessarily like speak to that. Like it seemed like he didn't have that view, but it seems so obvious to me like that. Like of course, like the whole thing's about her being the sadder but wiser girl. Like she has this child that is actually her child, but that's not a reflection of me per se. That's just like
Well, you're kind of like
subtext.
You'd be the child in that situation, right? The child who doesn't realize that his parents have had this life before he was around, or what that means.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the first thing that came to mind for me was something that I've actually talked about before on a different podcast, on the Being Seen podcast. I talked about my relationship with the movie Taxi Driver, where I first saw that movie when I was like 14 years old and very depressed and very lonely. And I continued to be depressed and lonely for basically the next 6 to 7 years. And feeling such sympathy and empathy with an identification in a way that I now think is bad with Travis Bickle and his loneliness and his inability to really understand how the rules of human life, how to be a human and how to interact with other people. And it was only when I got older and had grown up a little bit that I saw it and I'm like, oh, I think you're supposed to feel bad for him a little bit, but you're not supposed to identify with him. Like you're supposed to watch the movie being like, this guy's a weirdo. This is strange, as opposed to looking at him being like, I hear you, man. It's hard to know how to talk to people. So that was a real shift in the way I looked at that movie. And it helped a little bit. I think it was last year reading Quentin Tarantino's book where he talks about watching Taxi Driver when it came out, when he was young in all-black theater, and how the audience just laughed through the whole movie, being like, can you believe this guy? Can you believe the stuff he's doing? This guy's an idiot. That they fully saw the other side of that character, which is from the outside looking at him, what are you doing, man? Whereas I was looking at it from the inside of like, yeah, I get it. No one tells you the rules when you're born into this world, What about you, Hallie?
I can't think of, I don't have a good answer for this.
You're allowed.
I'm always right.
I don't particularly.
I always get
Hallie
it.
makes snap judgments, and they're always correct.
Yeah.
I don't particularly have any good answers either. I mean, I'm going to piggyback on Elliot's, which is just the idea of like, so many movies I watched as a teenager, I sympathized with the wrong character, or I use things to justify based on like my own feelings of alienation, or how I'm the most important person in the universe. That kind of sociopathic teenager thinking. But as an adult, I like to think I've become a little better. Yeah. But I'm sure I'll think of a better answer and then be dumb.
No, I mean there's certainly things like High Fidelity where I realize that this is not like supposed to be like a great guy, but it was only like later in life. I'm like, oh, like I realized like what a sharp critique it is of a certain type of nerd and their blinkered like, the difficulties with empathy.
That's a good one. Yeah.
There are a lot of movies that involve guys of a certain type where if you were a guy of that type, you buy into it. I mean, I feel like I never liked this guy, but I feel like I knew people who were really into Rushmore and without recognizing like what a little shit he is for much of the movie, and like didn't understand why anyone else isn't recognizing that. Yeah.
Well, he's kind of a big shit.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Wait, which one is? Sorry, I missed it. What is
Big Bill Murray. Yeah, you're talking about Bill Murray.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing of like, there's that moment in your life.
Two sides of shit.
There's that moment
that learn to be better from each
big
other.
Big and little, yeah. That famous kids book, Big Shit, Little Shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that moment when you grow up, when you cross the Bill Murray understanding barrier, when you go from being like, this is the coolest man in the world, to being like, okay, this guy, like, what is this guy's deal? Like, why does he think he can get away with anything? It's not fair, Well,
there is a thing about like media literacy, where as a kid, if you grow up with an actor or performer and you have like deep emotional connection to them, that like you have trouble identifying them as a bad person in a movie. You're like, oh, but I love Michael Keaton. Why would he be a serial killer trying to kill Andy Garcia?
A lot of kids had that strange realization.
It happened to me.
Why
is Batman doing that?
I don't know if this exactly fits, but I think it was very hard for me to wrap my head around in the Winona Ryder Little Women, in the 90s Little Women. Like, it never made sense to me when I saw that movie 7 times in the theater why Joe wasn't supposed to wind up with Laurie and why Amy was supposed to wind up with Laurie. It's like it seemed like that was big miss. Like it was like we invested this entire movie in rooting for this particular couple to work out, and then they don't work out. Why did that make sense? But I'm not sure I have an answer. I'm not sure that I now understand why it did work that way.
Why they didn't
wind up together.
I mean, I don't know that version of the movie that well. In the book, I think it's a matter more of like they actually aren't the right match for each other. You know, she needs someone who's going to play a different role, and that's why she ends up with the professor. Who I think they made a big mistake in the Greta Gerwig one by making that professor so handsome that because I think you're supposed to read that book and be like, Joe, why aren't you with Laurie? He's handsome and rich. Why are you with this kind of like older, not attractive professor guy? But it's like, but that's the relationship that she needs in her life rather than, you know.
Well, but I think it made more sense in the Greta Gerwig one because Timothée Chalamet was like such a kid.
Yeah.
And so you understood why she wouldn't want to, why he would represent the past rather than like the future to her. But in the Winona Ryder one, freaking what's his name is so hot.
John Malkovich, your favorite.
Who is it? Skeet Ulrich, Stephen Dorff?
No.
It was the 90s, yeah.
You know, the little...
Macaulay Culkin?
Oh, my God. I can't believe I'm not remembering.
Kieran Culkin?
No, he's the one from
Rory
The Machinist.
Culkin? The one from what?
The
Adrian
Machinist.
Brody?
Christian Bale?
Christian Bale.
Oh, Christian Bale.
Yeah.
There's a moment in the recent season of Righteous Gemstones where Stephen Dorff says the word nards, and it's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
You still met Wolfman?
Unfortunately, no, but it's, oh man, it was like,
I love Righteous Gemstones. And I thought this season, at the beginning of the season, I was like, every season I like this less. But then by the end, I was like, this is great.
It's best ensemble cast on television right now.
Yeah.
Let us.
There's a little show called Tracker.
Oh, my mistake. I forgot about Coulter Shaw and his tracking.
Yeah. It's about a guy who tracks.
He does track.
Right?
That tracks, yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like Coulter Shaw was knocking on your door so that he could get in on the action.
No. That's my family is currently building a kind of gardening cage around our blueberry bushes so that the birds and squirrels can't get to them. And they're doing it right outside the window where we're recording. So they're hitting the window every now and then. Cool. And the best part is seeing my wife's face as she knows that we're hearing the sounds and just is like, sorry.
Let's in that case move on to the next segment, which is recommend
There's still
movies.
more. What an amazing value for the dollar we give with this show.
I know. It's really, I mean, considering also that you don't have to give the dollar. But
Dan, don't tell people you don't have to.
Look, we love that you give the dollar. But so this
it's a trick.
GTD, give the dollar. That's what we're always saying. That's why all the Flophouse merchandise has GTD emblazoned on it. Yeah.
Yep. Don't check that. Unless you're asking AI, in which case they'll say, yep, it does.
It sure does. AI is in some ways the worst improv partner. They're just like, I will yes and whatever question you ask me, but not in a way that builds the scene, just in a way that confuses you.
In a way that adds to the general misinformation in the world.
And ends up gaslighting me out of and catfishing me out of all of my money.
Yeah, that's the worst part. Yeah, that's why you got a GTD. So because Stu keeps getting catfished by AI.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's recommend movies. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Okay.
Movies that you might enjoy.
Dan's going to recommend AI.
Well, I think that Stuart made a little video with me recommending this movie, but I don't think on Maine, I don't think we recommended this.
No, we didn't.
Stu and I went and saw another Ridiculous Sublime. We always plug these Ridiculous Sublime movies.
Your favorite
series. If you live in Brooklyn, go to don't walk to the Nighthawk Cinema for their Ridiculous Sublime series.
Always
it's the best.
Great stuff. And we watched Ninja 3, The Domination from 1984.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Very silly, very fun. Like, honestly, starts out with an action sequence that I'm like, holy crap. Like, for a movie that is like a low-budget movie, this is one of the most amazing action sequences.
Yes.
Like, the bang for your buck in this is so much bigger than any, like, blockbuster you're going to see. But the
bigger
movie,
bang for your buck than a blockbuster, says Van McCoy.
That opening scene, I've said it before, but it is like a 5-star Grand Theft Auto rampage caught on cinema. It's so wild.
It is essentially a ninja kills a guy and some other people on a golf course, and then is chased down by a bunch of cops. Eventually, he is shot a ridiculous number of times, and then the spirit of that ninja inhabits a woman who works on the telephone wires. She's
Lucinda
from
Dickey.
Yeah, it's the director of Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo, and Lucinda Dickey was in that film.
Star, yeah.
And so she becomes the ninja. She's possessed by the ninja as he wants to kill all the cops that killed him. And
they should have called it Ninja 3 Possession. I don't know why it's Ninja 3 Domination.
Even though she decides to start dating the hairiest of the cops.
Yeah.
A man who's so hairy that you're like, am I in a different dimension where you can be that hairy in a movie and still be the love interest?
All the audience cheered when she's like, I don't date cops, and then like booed as she proceeded to then date that cop.
Yeah.
But it's a perfect movie of its type in that like it's really silly but also kind of amazing. Like it's genuinely like entertaining and great in a lot of ways while also being the goofiest shit you ever saw. So that's what I recommend. Ninja 3 The Domination. Stuart, what do you recommend?
I'm going to recommend a movie that is hot in the theaters right now. So hot, it will burn your flesh with flames. That's right. I'm going to recommend Ryan Coogler's Sinners. It is one of the, like, I would argue probably one of the biggest box office successes of the year. It is an original kind of horror movie that is set in Prohibition-era South. It stars two Michael B. Jordans. That's right. You get double your Michael B. Jordan for the dollar, where he plays two twin brothers who are setting up a juke joint near their hometown. And then there's some vampire violence. It is so fun.
Rated R for vampire violence.
It's so fun. It is a movie that I kind of went in expecting it to be a fair, like a really intense horror movie. And I feel like the horror movie elements, while done well, are kind of not the thing the movie is most interested in. It's a total blast. All the performances are great. The music is great. And it is the kind of like in-theater experience that I've been looking for. I think it's great. If you haven't seen it, you should go check it out.
They brought it back to IMAX and it crashed Fandango.
I can see it. It's great.
I want to recommend a movie that is kind of it's not really related to Sinners, but it is directed by the writer of Creed 2, which Ryan Coogler didn't direct, but Ryan Coogler directed Creed, so it's kind of similar. And this is someone who their work has been on the Flophouse before because they were a writer of Space Jam: A New Legacy, but they made a movie called
interesting bona fides for this recommendation.
This is a movie directed by Jewel Taylor, who wrote those, called They Cloned Tyrone, that came out like the year before last, and it's a science fiction. It's like a science fiction movie that is science fiction kind of mystery action movie that has like blaxploitation kind of style touches to it, and it has to do with a drug dealer in this bad neighborhood, predominantly black neighborhood that is economically depressed, and he gets killed and then wakes up the next day totally fine, and it leads to a plot that I won't tell you too much about what happens, but involves secret government plots and people being used for experiments and things like that. And I thought it was really fun. It's a really funny movie, and it had some real good action scenes in it. Jamie Foxx appears in it as Slick Charles, a pimp who becomes one of the hero group, and he's great in it. I watched this not too long after finally seeing Collateral for the first time, which I'd never gotten around to seeing.
It's fun.
And I was like, this is the kind of Jamie Foxx I want to see, though. I don't want to see serious Jamie Foxx who's just trying to build his limo business. I want to see Jamie Foxx as a kind of larger-than-life character. And it's really great. Tiana Paris is in it as this character, Yo-Yo, who's the kind of takes the lead in the mystery and in figuring out what's going on. And it's kind of lives in a similar world in terms of being a science fiction satire on black themes. A similar world to Sorry for Bothering You, but
Sorry to Bother You.
Sorry to Bother You, but it's not quite as incisive as that one. It's much more fun than that one. But I really enjoyed it. So They Cloned Tyrone, which I think it's on Netflix right now. I think it's a Netflix exclusive movie. Hallie, what about you? What's your recommendation?
Well, I'm going to recommend a movie that could very well be the answer to the previously asked question about being really embarrassed when you reveal something that you like because it turns out it actually sucks. Because I haven't seen this movie since I was probably like 14, but for some reason it's just been on my mind recently. The movie Dangerous Beauty. Did you guys see that in the 90s starring Rufus Sewell? I've been thinking about it a lot because I recently watched The Diplomat and I was like, this guy never stops being smoking. He is so hot. And he was so hot in Dangerous Beauty, the story of a courtesan in a historical time during the...
This is one of Hallie Haglund's classic no research movie reviews.
No, but it was during both the Black Plague and the Inquisition, because both of those were featured within the movie. And it was great. I rented it over and over and over again. I thought maybe when I grow up, I'll be a courtesan, but I didn't really know what that was.
You know, I never saw this movie, but I remember seeing the poster for it.
Yeah, well, it was good.
Okay.
Wait, Stu, you gave a knowing nod. Do you remember this movie?
A little, yeah. I mean, I remember seeing it years ago, but I couldn't give you too many details on it.
Do you remember if you liked it?
I remember liking it, yeah.
Okay.
I remember it being like a little horny, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I like Rufus Sewell. Like, I'd get stuck in a dark city with him. You know
I gotta tell you, it works in person too. That Rufus Sewell attraction. I saw him on stage in the play Rock and Roll, and he was very handsome.
Oh my
very
God!
Handsome through the
I
whole
saw him on stage in Richard III, and
who'd he play?
the titular Richard
the titular third.
He played all three of them?
Yeah, it was
even better than two Michael B. Jordans.
Richard III is like multiplicity, but it's set in England's past. Yeah. Better than two Michael B. Jordans. What would be better? Two Michael B. Jordans or three Richards? Or three Rufus Sewells? Who
I'll
knows?
take hard to choose.
I just looked up Dangerous Beauty on Letterboxd. The most popular review, the top review,
Paul Schrader.
is just, did she peg the King of France? So that's the thing that might happen in this movie if you want to.
I don't remember that part. I guess I've got to go see it again. I guess I'm recommending
maybe
it to
that's
myself.
a director's cut. Yeah. I mean, I do find that sometimes recommending a movie I haven't seen in a long time, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch that fucking thing again.
Yeah. Is it available on streaming since you just looked it up? Could you help us out with that?
Yeah, Dan. Pull up Just Watch real quick.
Yeah, okay. It's connected to Just Watch, so it shouldn't take as long as it does. Where to watch? You can.
It just says Hallie's house.
It just says rent or buy, so I don't think it's streaming.
You can still rent it.
Yeah,
it's still available. I mean, there was a time in the past when you always rented or bought things.
But there were places to go to do that in the past,
That's
and
true.
there aren't.
And you know what? I bet there's a place. I bet you could go to Vidiots and rent it.
I will.
And there a new DVD store just opened up. A DVD purchase and rental store just opened up in Williamsburg. I
don't know why Letterboxd linking to Just Watch doesn't work as well as just going to Just Watch itself. But if you go directly, yes, it's on Hulu. You can see it on Hulu.
Oh, wow.
I have Hulu.
There you
can have a Hulu hoop.
I don't know what that means in this context, but
Not sure.
Hey,
I just feel bad that Stuart had an Ace Lathe of Heaven reference earlier, and I thought it was so funny. And the best I can do is Hulu hoop and my bad song parodies.
It's always a shot in the arm, Hallie, when you're here, and a delight to see you again.
Dan looks down at the ground bashfully.
I hope not a gunshot.
I miss seeing you regularly.
Hey, you know what, you guys? This is real. I had a moment a couple weeks ago where I was like, I don't laugh anymore. I just don't laugh. Nothing makes me laugh anymore. And I thought, I'm so glad I'm doing the Flophouse, because when I do the Flophouse, I laugh. So thank you guys for that.
So I think we should probably have you more often, just for your own mental health. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you have a delightful laugh, so that's also good for us as well.
Oh yeah.
But thank you. That's the one.
That's the one. Oh yeah, a lot of people don't know Hallie makes most of her money off of doing Halloween sound effects.
Yeah. Zoom's like that Halloween sound effect is copyrighted. We can't.
No, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's why we had to stop using that chain rattle sound. We get sued. Yeah.
Anything you want to say before we do our sign off, Hallie?
Thanks for having me. That's
Great.
all.
Hallie, why don't you plug your Substack? We should have mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, sign up, you guys. Read my Substack. Check it out. It's called That Hurts My Feelings.
I'm glad
on
it's still
Substack.
I'm glad it's still going because honestly, I read the last one. I'm like, does this mean she's stopping? Like, there was there's a sense of finality about
I
it.
know.
Yeah, it's like
I know.
goodbye forever or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll recommend, Hallie, if you are continuing That Hurts My Feelings, it's the thing I read right away when it shows up in my email inbox. I always think it's great. It's both funny and also kind of meaningful and touching and revealing in ways that I think
Very revealing.
yeah,
a lot of nude pictures.
Whoa.
of
a lot of
myself.
nude pictures.
A
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of nudes.
Dangerous beauty.
It was originally called That Hards My Feeling, right? And it was just much more of a porn newsletter. But it's Hallie's doing such amazing writing on it, and someone's gotta I wish there was more newspapers with syndicated columns because it shows me that Hallie would do an amazing job with that.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Yeah. So if any newspapers are listening,
If you're listening, USA Today, and I know you are,
Mr. USA Today.
is there
okay,
a
well.
Mrs.
Mr. Ulysses Sampson Arthur Today.
Thank you to Hallie. Thank you to our producer, Alex Smith, both for producing the show and being on our Unfrosted episode recently. And if you don't subscribe to Flop Secrets, our newsletter, the most recent one was devoted to Alex's side project. So look that up. It's an easy way to see what Alex is up to. Thank you to Maximum Fun. Go to MaximumFun.org to find other great shows on the Max Fun Network. And for the Flophouse, I've been Dan McCoy.
I've been Stuart Wellington.
I've been Elliot Kalin.
And I've been Hallie Haglund.
And thank you to us.
Oh, thanks.
Don't worry, guys. I got a real hot one.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
not just warm, but hot. Okay, let's hear
Okay,
it.
what's this? Okay, I remember what the movie's called, so that's the important thing. Here we go. On this episode, we discuss Better Man.
And if your number one celebrity crush is Robbie Williams, prepare to be confused.
That's pretty good.
Great. That is a hot one.
Maximum Fun.
A worker-owned network
Of artist-owned shows.
supported
Directly
by you.